need to collect my thoughts on this project. So she's got, what room is this?
That's the
Master's bedroom?
yeah,
Okay. And this is exercise, and this,
bedroom.
where's the family room?
Oh, that's the yellow.
Oh, family's yellow,
Yeah.
okay. All right, pretty simple design. We'll go from here. All right, I would record, you got a good angle on that?
Yeah, Jerry, could you move a little?
Well, or you could move it up here. No.
It's too much work. I don't wanna get up.
So,
Thank you, Jerry.
once you get to this massing model, you have to have some philosophy, like how am I gonna treat these surfaces? Like Maya right now, the back of the house is enclosed and the front's open. I could say, I could do the same thing, have these open and have that closed, or maybe I can reverse it. But having a conceptual game plan of how do you deal with spaces, open and closed, becomes an important component of how I actually want to think about this. Because once you get the hierarchy, the massing is placeholders for spaces, clarity of circulation, the counting of all the functions, and some notion of how you're going to hold this thing up. The next thing you have to do is sit down and say, how am I going to actually work with these surfaces, and what qualities of spaces do I have in here? And so Meyer's got open and enclosed. You may say, I'm going to reverse Meyer's game. Now, by doing something conscious like that, it shows I'm going to say a forethought in conceptual design. Because if you want clarity in your project, you have to conceptually design stuff before you actually go and work in the weeds of doing this. If not, you'll have a complete and utter mess. Like, well, I like a mess. And I'm like, no, you don't. No one likes a mess. So that's why it's important to do this. The next thing I have to take a look at is, like, when I look at this, I'm like, I'm gonna pull this back to some of these areas. So I could have this open. I have to put some railings across here. I got them. So that's a roof garden. I may want this open to the water. I don't really need a railing here because I've got the glass in here. I have to see where this is located. Oh, no, maybe I do because that's a drop off. All right. I have to decide how I want to deal with this. I have to eventually cut this guy. That's not a big deal, you know, once I explode them and take them apart. Probably kind of getting ready to do what I need to do. Somewhere in here I'm going to need a bearing wall. Maybe I'll bring it to the other side. Too far over. Oops. I'm on that bearing. Put my ortho on. Actually, he's gonna sit right there, because that line and this line should line up. Alright, so columns, bearing wall, alright. To have some sense of structure out here. File, save as. I'm going to start with these spaces here. It looks like there's enough room up there, and then there's enough room up there. I have to decide, maybe I want a parapet wall on this one here. Maybe I have the railings up here. I don't know. I have to come up with a strategy on how to deal with this. Sometimes people put the parapet walls all going perpendicular and the railings going horizontal to look at the water. Some people have this side or that side. It depends. I'm going to take this as a space. I'm going to go to the wall command and go to the other side. And what thickness is this? Are you designing in millimeters? What the hell are you doing? You're killing me. This whole thing is going to be a complete mess. I have no idea. It's going to take me a couple of minutes. So you can't, we're going to assume this hallway is 4 feet as it. Okay, comes in as 4 feet. You are so lucky. Folks, if you open up a regular AutoCAD file and just copy and paste and it's in millimeters, you are going to be, there's nothing in you know, now my daughter's working in meters as she's doing an embassy overseas with this fancy firm in Manhattan that does projects all over the world. She's like, Dad, I love working in meters. It's so much easier to do the topo instead of this feet and inches business. And I'm like, yeah, that's in this country. We haven't gotten there yet. They talked about working in metric when I was in junior high. This is coming. I'm going to be dead before this actually gets here. I know some of you are like, it's pretty optimistic of you. I still drawing in feet and inches. Okay, so, Jocelyn, don't do that again to me. I'm too old to be terrorized by all the wall. Pick. Right? I'm going to bring it to here. Bring it back to perpendicular. take this for now and turn off the layer. Which I'm gonna, maybe I'll shut it off. I don't know why this doesn't show up here. This I'm gonna pull him back to. This wall right here. Oops. Can't see it. Okay. I'm going to put that against the outside wall here. And this, I think that lines up okay. Now, I have the ceiling here, and then I have the top of this parapet. So I just want to take a dimension on this parapet here. That's 3'6", and 1 foot of ceiling, that's 4 feet. So when I click on this, bring up properties, 4'6", so that's 10 foot. I'm gonna say this wants to be 14 feet 6 inches high. So I'm gonna put a parapet wall on this piece here. I'll have the balconies open above. So this is really what I'm gonna wind up doing. So now I'm gonna have a floor in here. I'm gonna turn back on the bedroom layer. I'm gonna copy it, oops. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to make it 12 inches. Then I'm gonna copy this previous I'll go from here, it's at the top of the floor, up to here, which is the top of the floor. That's the roof, right? Approximately. So I don't want to get rid of these because I need them for floors and roofs. So I've got this as a space working. Now I'm like, I have to do something similar to this. Work in X-ray. Maybe that's easier to see. I have this wall and this wall are going to overlap. So I don't really want to get too, because if I draw a wall here and I draw a wall here, you look at the floor plan, you got this big fat 1 foot thick wall. Is that a good idea? Nope. So I'm going to say this is going to go up to the top of this. This one's going to get railings. Hard to see. Oops, what happened to that? Undo. There we go. Now, this one I'm going to put some more walls in. I have to find it. I'm going to bring him over to this point right here, because I'm going to kind of share a common wall, and I got to turn off that snap business, and I'm like that. So now I've got that in there. I'm gonna have to take and turn this off. Move that, and that. There we go. That lines up, that lines up, that lines up. I'm gonna take and move this back 3 inches, because they're 6-inch walls. There we go, so that lines up. This is gonna have a roof. I'm gonna take and turn on that layer again. What layer was that?
Which one, the brown one?
Yeah, this room.
Oh, that was actually second.
There it is. I'm just gonna copy this box. Copy. I don't want to get rid of those because they got some heights on it. I'm going to take this one, 12, and I'm going to copy previous. Bring it from there up to there. Okay, oops. Move, previous. Get those snaps off. All right, so there we go. That's kind of that. I can take that and that, oops, that and turn it off. And that and turn it off. So now I've got essentially these rooms. Oh, I gotta put my floors back on. Oh no, I want to leave those. Actually, I'm just gonna leave those. Now I'm gonna take a look at this one here. This one's going to be a void, so this is going to be a slightly different MO. I'm going to take this and is that the right spot? I think I may be too high by a foot, right? Yes, I am. Okay, that sits there. I could technically span from here to here, but I have to figure out, I could put a column there that goes all the way up. So let's say I want to put glass in here, and I have to figure out a mechanism to hold this thing up. some reason this is, that. What happens if I brought that to that? Probably don't need that. I probably don't need this down here anymore, although I do need it as a beam. So I'll take this. I'm just gonna get. So now, because how do I hold this whole thing up without making a complete mess of it? I'm just gonna take and I'll take this guy out. Right. So I've got that. That's gonna be open. I have to decide how I want to do the windows, but I'll do those in a sec. I'm going to take and copy a window. I want to be able to see this stuff. Why is it I can't see it? I have no idea. There it is. Too high? Yes, I'm too high. So somehow your floors, do they line up? I'll have to take a look. What I'm gonna do, because I'm like, if I copied that orthogonally and moved it over, it should all line up. To dissection, I'll pick a point. Yeah, that pretty much lines up, right? All right. And that lines up there. So I got them lined up. I use all the tools I can to make sure I'm in the right direction here. May be a little high. All right, so for some reason, I don't know why this is slightly off, but we're not gonna worry about it. All right, so I'm gonna take this information right here. So how do I draw this? Measure it all out? I'm not doing that. That. So I'm going to take a box, pick, all right, try that again, pick, Now folks, am I actually measuring this stuff out? And I'm like, next thing you know, it's fractions and part of fractions. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna take a copy. Oops. Okay. Ours is a little, for some reason, our number's a little off, so they should be the same size, but I do not know what happened. It's above my pay grade. All right, so now I'm gonna take this, and you're like, I'm gonna take and move this out of the way. And you're like, I really like the blue color, and I'm like, okay, let's just do it. How you doing? I almost want to have like a sleepover. You can watch the movie. Can't wait for you to be at one of those important job meetings, sitting around a table. Mr. Hunt, I'm like, I'm feeling so good. I'm like, whatever. I said, someone said, did you ever mention, like, that faculty in other years, like, she puts her head down, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's a neck problem. I think it's a medical thing. I wouldn't, don't bring it up. Maria, I'm with you. All right, so it's possible. Now the problem that you get with this is that there are corner pieces in here that you're missing. You're like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, I think this needs a corner piece. So you're like, my powers of observation. How do they deal with this? So these come up on these right angles, so like you can't really fudge it. Looks like a pain in the neck, right? Now, as an architect, these details mean something to us. Let me just, all right. So, this has to be on a 45. I'm like, oh, that's not fun. So I'm gonna take this. Keep doing the same thing. Like, what's up with Joe Betz? This wants to go a little further over. Now I'm going to take this, copy, because I don't really like to spend a whole lot of time on this. Oh, undo. It's easier to do it in plan. This should be 45 degrees over. I think this needs to be back a little further, so I'm gonna have to draw this out. See, like, that's the point with which I'm looking for. So I'm going to copy these. Make sure I fit them on the right spot. This one's slightly off. Okay, I think that's no.
Your other wall is on the inside.
What's that?
The other side, the other wall is on the inside of your thing. The other one.
I'm not 100%. I'm going to draw another line. Is this 45? Wait, is this 45? Yeah. Draw a line here. Oops. I'm getting bogged down in these stupid details here, which I hate to do during the demo. That's not 45 degrees though. I screwed that up. Oh, I screwed this whole thing up. All right. That's 45. That's where the end of this has to be, so. That's going to go to here. Whoops. That's going to go to there. This wants to go to. There. Nope. Still not 100% right, but that's going to be your 45. So I'm going to put this back into here. And get rid of that. I'm just going to draw this as a line. Fill it. That's the line I'm looking for. Get rid of some of this stuff. It was something like, well, this is a pain in the neck. This still is not 100% right. I don't know why. It's probably because this is not in a 45-degree angle. That line's got to go. It doesn't note anything. Take a move. This is kind of messed up, but we're not going to worry about it. All right. Now I'm going to take and move this something like that. I'm going to take and move this back to there. That so now I've got this piece in. It's done right. Mirror this. Actually, I'm going to pull this up to the top. And I can pull these guys up to the top of here. gonna take and mirror this. Not 100% sure why this is off, but I should probably group these. Let's go back. Some of these details are a pain in the neck to do architecturally. This has to be moved back, but we're not going to worry about that. All right, so that's one. So now you get to see how I would do each one of these, put this in. Now I'm going to deal with this hallway here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring him down to 12. Now I'm going to copy that's incorrect. Move him down. I'm going to take this, so now I have a balcony. This is too low. That goes up to there. All of this has to be put down, and that's a problem with your massing model. Goes under there. I just want to cut a section through here to make sure that my heights are right. Those look pretty good, right? All right. Now I'm going to think about windows. So these are the exercise rooms. I can get rid of that. So let's say I want to put just basic windows in here. I want to follow Myers patterns. I'm going to use these. They're just as good as any others, right? That works. I have a couple ways to do it. I'm going to explode this whole thing. I'm going to explode these again. What's the reason for doing this? So now gives me the shapes of the windows without having to go measure. I'll get rid of all that, delete. That works, right? I'm going to join. Join them all. Okay. Now I've got some window patterns. I'm going to copy. I'm going to extrude. This is the exercise room, and that's the bedroom. That's one. Maybe I want to put another little window in. So maybe I'll put windows in here. So how do I deal with this here? Since I'm not going to change these walls or any openings, I'm going to pick that wall. I'm going to type in convert to 3D solids. See that command? Convert to 3D solids. You're definitely going to need to know that one. Nope, it didn't work. See. Pick. I have to hit yes. Now this is a 3D solid. It's no longer a wall, because the wall comes in like a mass element. Subtract. Actually, I'm going to copy these. So I have to go back and extrude them. There we go. So now I have, and where do these windows sit? Leave it right at the top. That's a bedroom, you may say, okay. I can do something similar down here. I may take this and move it over to so now when I convert this to a 3D solid, now I may say to myself, I want to put a door in it. I get two things. I can use the standard door and try to get that aligned, or I can use an opening, or I could just cut into the box. Either one, you can go in and convert this to a 3D solid and make it a box and go from there. I can go in and start to match a lot of this stuff. So like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of yellow, right? So now you're starting to see something that looks more like. Now I would, before I would do this, I would actually copy these because it's easier to turn layers on and off. Or I would actually do this at the very end, because if you start doing this, then all your layers are gonna be the same, right? That's how you get this to look much more realistic. So when you're done, go back and change that around. So you've got railings. How did I draw the railings? I actually took this guy, pulled him out, went to here, did a cylinder, nearest, and brought it up to here. So now you get railings. So these are easy. You don't have to actually measure them out. Now you're starting to see how I'm getting in here and making these spaces. I have to put some more windows here. Maybe I want to use these windows. Maybe I want to use this shape. I can go in and figure out how I want to do those. Now typically if I'm doing this professionally, what do? I actually put furniture in the room to make sure I don't screw that up. Now something like this, you may say to yourself, whoops. I may decide I may want to put a wall here. I may only want the glass over here. So now you can start to see how I'm dealing with this. You may want a wall here. By the way, I wouldn't leave a gap here. I'd make sure that goes right to the edge, because you wouldn't, how do you get in there and build it? So this now shows you an example of how I would set this up and make the spaces. Now I have a balcony that goes across here. I have a couple ways to do that. I could leave this as a balcony. I can copy railings. I'll just plump these midpoint. So now I have, maybe there's railings that come along. How do I deal with this wall here? Do I want to make that glass? Like a curtain wall? And I have to shorten that whole thing up to here. Maybe this becomes curtain wall. So you look out, so that goes over there. There's a whole bunch of things I'm thinking about of how do I actually do this. There's a door here that goes outside, and by the way, this curtain wall needs to be moved over. So I'm gonna have to fix that. So now, this is no longer a hallway, it really becomes a catwalk at this. At this stage, you're walking along the edge of the space, and you leave it, and then somewhere out here I have to put a door to be able to go outside, and then go up these set of stairs, and I have to have this platform when I'm all done. Probably go to the end of this thing. So I come up, and walk around. So now you're seeing how I'm transforming this from a mass to spaces, and then making it spatial. Make sure you copy every single one of these stages. So what I did is I just copied her 3D mass thing and started a new drawing, so I was able to work on it. Eventually you're gonna put this back onto the site and see how it works.
So you want us to start that now, different new file, not on.
Well, it depends. It depends on how cluttered and complicated your file is. And you can always copy this and move it back, right? It's not that big of a deal. Because it always preserves your work too. And what did I use? I used these tools of section to make sure that everything lined up. Because if you have a step in here, then you're in big trouble. So you get to see the spatialness of what I envision when I look at the project. And I've got concepts of open and closed. I have my circulatory concepts, I have my structural concepts. Each one of these, when I go in to try to fix it, has to get, I have to rethink, how does it actually work? So when she had all these bearing walls out here, that wasn't gonna work with that space